Well, there it is.
He asked who pilots this ship. I said, well, he's on here today.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Bob Kubota. So she's a slowpoke, you know. It was rated 12 knots, 14 mile an hour on paper. This Jeep was in the MASH movie. It started the whole series.
No way.
You can shoot up 12,000 foot with this sucker.
Fire roll.
That was incredible.
Good morning. I am on my way to Evansville. We're leaving Newburgh. If you watched the Newburgh video, you might have learned in that video, I got the green light to go head towards Evansville, which is just a little north of Newburgh. Also on the river. Not so much of a river town, but a river city. And I've lived in Indiana a large amount of my life. Didn't really know much about Evansville, and I don't think I've ever even been down to Evansville. But as I've been exploring the north, Evansville has popped up a few times, and somebody suggested to go there, mostly to explore the USS LST 325. And I gave the museum or the organization over there a call, and they were nice enough to call me back and say, yeah, come film. We'll give you a tour. So pretty excited about this. We're going to go learn more about the USS LST 325, and we're heading that way now. I'm stoked. I love history, World War II history. I love history of ships. And this one is operating. Well, there it is. Okay, we can come in. Yay, thank you. So far everybody's super nice in Evansville.
Sorry, we're closed, so we're using all the space to do all the things right now.
Oh, no apologies. I just appreciate you guys. Hi, guys. Hi.
Do you like military history?
Military history? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why I'm here.
Well, yeah,
World War II, World War I. You know, a lot of the things I like trying to do is somewhat tell stories that maybe people don't remember or are getting lost.
Here's a really fun one. If you're up near Seymour, Indiana, there's the Freeman Airfield. So it's about an hour and a half north of Louisville, about 3 hours away from here. It's the Freeman Airfield Museum. It's Seymour, Indiana, and it used to be the Freeman Airfield where they would train Tuskegee Bomber Squad pilots would train there, and a variety of other different groups would train there. And something else they would do is research like Messerschmitt, German planes, Japanese Zeros, like a bunch of different things, and really analyze like the engines, components, and everything like that. But then they would bury the plane parts because in case the United States got invaded, then they couldn't use the planes against the United States.
Wow, yeah.
So fast forward the next generation, about 40 years down the road, and all the kids that were kids back then grow up, and they say, hey, do you remember our parents talking about burying plane parts over in Freeman Airfield? Yeah, I remember that. Are they still out there? I don't know. We haven't looked. And so they go out there and they dug up all these old engine parts and plane pieces and everything, and they made a museum out of it.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That's over in the Freeman Airfield Museum over in Seymour, Indiana. Chris will tell you a little bit more about it, but just a very brief nutshell. Evansville played a really big role in World War II because we made these here.
Right.
And we made these ships out here.
Right.
And we made 167 LSTs. We also made over 6,000 P-47 Thunderbolt fighter planes.
Yeah.
And we made over 3 billion bullets.
Wow, 3 billion bullets.
Billion.
Wow.
And if you want to come over here, I can show you one. So that was one of the bullets that was made here in Evansville. Right there. And it's still alive as far as I know.
It looks ready to go. This is one of the 12 guns that was located on the T-325. Could you imagine being at war, being on a boat, firing this thing off? Intense, man. Old World War II rifle. Type 99 rifle. Arisaka. So this is a Japanese rifle from 1897. This was used in the Imperial Army and the Navy. Turkey lined up with the Allied powers from the Evansville Courier. Never really thought of Evansville much. So you can see here how much activity was on this river. I mean, look at that.
Might get a little rain today, it looks like.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. That's what it looks like. A little humid today, but man, I'll take this over the winter up north.
Well, you know what LST stands for then?
No.
A landing ship tank.
Landing ship tank.
There's 1,051 of these built during World War II. Only one left running in its original condition. That's this one. So that's the last of the class. So it's very unique. When I say unique, one left. And of course, we still sail this ship. This year we'll go up, every September we go somewhere for about 3.5 weeks. This year it'll be up towards Muscatine, Iowa, Cape Girardeau, and I think Alton, Illinois on the way. So about a 4 or 5 day weekend in each of those places. Last year was Pittsburgh, Wheeling, West Virginia, and Marietta, Ohio. So we'll make more money in that 1 month than we do all year in Evansville, and that's how we survive because we don't get any federal money. We make it ourselves.
Now, when you go up to, like, say, Pittsburgh or somewhere else, do you dock it and people from that area?
Exactly.
Too?
Instead of 80 people a day here on a Saturday, 2,500 people a day there.
Huh.
Even we've done 4,300 people in a day.
That's awesome.
10 years ago, that's our record. So, because it's a novelty and everybody just stands in line for a couple hours to get on this sucker when we go up there.
Absolutely. I could imagine a lot of kids just being so excited about it, but I think this also makes everybody happy and excited.
Yeah.
It makes you feel like a kid again almost.
Yeah. But the LST was designed in World War II to carry 20 Sherman tanks, 30 other vehicles up here on the top deck, Jeeps, half-tracks, ambulances, even artillery. Come up this elevator after coming through the bow door, be on the top deck. Then your 20 Sherman tanks would be down below at 33 tons each.
The only thing that I kind of read about it is that it had vital role in World War II.
Yeah, it did.
It was deployed in Sicily, I believe.
North Africa, Sicily, Salerno. It was launched February 1st, 1943 in Philadelphia. By the way, Evansville made more LSTs than any other one shipyard in the country. 167 were made here, about a mile from where we're standing, over here on the bend in the river.
So not only is this boat here in Evansville, it was made here.
No, this ship was made in Philadelphia.
Made in Philadelphia,
Yeah,
okay.
we just made more of them than any other shipyard.
But not this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was launched, so we turned 82 on February 1st. It headed over to North Africa, got in on Operation Torch. Next stop was Sicily, Operation Husky. In July and August of 1943, the ship made 7 landings at Sicily with General Patton's 7th Army and other units over 6 weeks. And then a couple months later, September 43, 4 landings at Salerno. And then on D-Day, there's 229 LSTs going into Normandy on D-Day. 25 of those are from Evansville. Only one left still selling on its own power, and you're on it right now, the 325. But D-Day was postponed about a month. It was originally supposed to be May 1st. A lot of people don't know that. Because of the lack of amphibious vessels, mainly LSTs, they wanted 230 LSTs for that invasion. May came around, they didn't have 200 LSTs. I said, next time the tide and the moons are going to be right, it's going to be early June 4th. So let's see what we got. And I'm just telling you this, let you know this is the most sought after ship, period, between 43 and 44. 65% or better of the ships at Normandy in that 7,000 vessel group was amphibious vessels.
What made this ship so special? Why was it so much?
Because it's a good question. Because as they're planning on D-Day, 156,000 soldiers are coming across the English Channel, 7,000 vessels almost, including this one, and 180,000 naval personnel from various countries. The question arose: how are we going to get tanks on the beach when we get to France? Because the Germans who occupy France control the harbors. They control Cherbourg. They control all the harbors and the ports with facilities to unload vessels, like Liberty ships and Victory ships. So how are we going to get tanks on the beach? They had to come up with a way to do that without the use of port facilities, and the LST is that answer. And go up to any unimproved beach in the world where there's nothing but sand, unload 20 Sherman tanks, 30 trucks, and 200 troops, and then winch itself off, go back there and gonna get another load.
So it's a workhorse.
That's why Eisenhower said if he had to pick one thing that won World War II, it might very well be the LST. For reasons which I just said.
Wow.
So it was a game changer in World War II, and we talk a lot about D-Day on here because this particular ship was in North Africa and Europe. We remind folks there's 60 some odd landings to do in the Pacific after D-Day, and the LST was critical to all that. So we're up here on the main deck, and you're going to see two pictures before you get off the ship today. One at Normandy, one at Sicily. This deck's just crammed full of vehicles. So all the vehicles come through the bow door. By the way, these two propellers you see here, this is what's on the back of the ship. Solid bronze, pushing you through the water. About 1,800 pounds each. Two locomotive engines in this sucker. Why is that? It's a slow ship. Let's start with that. You're in the middle of the biggest war of the history of the world. All of a sudden, the Navy's asking for 2,200 engines. Where's that going to come from? General Motors says we got all these 567 and EMDs, electromotive diesels. So that's what went into these ships. So she's a slow poke. It was rated at 12 knots, 14 mile an hour on paper, but really, 10 mile an hour, if that. And it's about what you're going to do on a fully loaded LST. Fully loaded, we're about 4,000 tons. Empty as we sit today, about 1,700 tons.
So you had to protect yourself because you weren't getting out of there fast. So obviously,
yeah,
guns on here too.
Yeah, and we'll talk about those in just a moment.
Yeah.
But this is the elevator. They're doing work on it, doing a new tarp for it. So it's looking a little scrappy. By the way, everything works on this ship except the guns. They had to be demilled to come in from Greece. The Greeks had this ship for 36 years, from 64 to 2000. And
do you know how and why they acquired it?
Yeah, we gave it to them. We were giving away stuff after the war and later.
Okay.
Most LSTs were cut up and sold for scrap after the war.
Oh, that's sad.
Because these ships were made in three months. At the beginning of 1943, about 4 months to make an LST. And by the end of 43, certain shipyards like Evansville had it down to a little over 2 months per ship. So something made it a critical time for a critical purpose with no expectation for longevity. Not the best built ship in the world, but so they were scrapped. They were using the atomic bomb test in the late 40s, early 50s, or just sank off the coast by our own Navy, used for target practice. This one had been given to the Greeks in 1964, this and others, and they were using this one when most of these were being scrapped. Then they went to scrap this one, I think, in 1998. And so a group of guys headed by Bob Jerlin went over to Greece. They've been looking for an LST for a museum ship. So they went over and got the ship back, got it up and running, and brought it back in 2001 in the Mobile Bay because we need a museum ship. And that's why it's back on Mobile Bay. And it's been in Evansville. It'll be 20 years this October. So out of salt water. And what you see today on this ship, it was pretty mangy looking, like all of them were. But so what you see today is about $5 million later and a whole bunch of volunteer hours. So the elevator, that's how you bring vehicles to the top deck. We were talking about guns on here, anti-aircraft guns. You're going to see cobwebs too, but you're going to see a couple holes when we're down below where the Germans shot 2 holes in us, 30 millimeter and 20 millimeter. But you'd have 12 of all the guns on here were foreign design. These are Swiss Oerlikon autocannons. Here's the rounds that it shoots. There'd be 60 rounds in this magazine here. And hold this trigger back on full automatic, 450 rounds a minute, or about 7 rounds per second out the barrel. Good out to maybe 4,000 and 5,000 foot. So there'd be 12 of those on the ship. There's 4 on it when I come back from Greece. But for the heavy duty work up to 12,000 foot, you got the 40 millimeter Swedish Bofors. Now these 3 on the front are still covered up from the winter, but you'll see 1, if not 2, on the rear of the ship uncovered in a little bit. That's your main defense against enemy aircraft. 4 single barrel 40s and 2 dual 40s. And, but you'll see those up close on the rear of the ship in a bit.
Fantastic.
All right, let's go down below and take a walk through history.
Let's do it.
Watch your step as we walk through these watertight hatches. We tell folks it ain't like being at home. You can trip pretty easy in here.
Yes.
Going down some steps. Oh.
People you meet when you're on the tour.
Yeah. I'm going to talk to John here for a moment, if I could.
Oh yeah.
But he used to run the ship here. We go back for years, and he's in town from Arizona. And
Bullhead City, Arizona.
Hi, sir. How are you? I'm videoing. Is that okay?
he's doing some
That's
YouTube
fine.
stuff.
Okay.
I was with the ship for about 12 years. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. I came on, I'm the old guy here. I 05 when the ship came here, and you came on, what year was
About
you?
5 years later.
Okay. And
We were still over at Marina Point.
we were the two real on a daily basis running this show. It was him, and he runs the ship, and we're taking care of the old gal. Then a couple times a year they have work weeks where 40 guys will show up, do work on it. And but in the hard winter months, it's basically me and him down here.
Well, it takes guys like you to make something like this happen.
Because we live here. He did live here.
I've got to go up to the office and visit with Amber.
All right, so good to see you, my friend.
Hey, good seeing you.
All right.
Take care of yourself.
Give my
It was
le-
nice meeting you, sir.
The bow door control room. Not a lot in here to see, but you have a bow door and bow ramp on the front of the ship. You open and shut that stuff from in here. Other than that, and you lower and raise your anchor from this area. But bow door control room, so not a whole lot else in there. Now we're going in troop berthing, or the troop slept. About 200 troops would be on this ship. And the Greeks did not modernize this side of the ship. So the other side's got air conditioning and nicer bunks with mattresses. In here, you're seeing it as it was 82 years ago. Wow. They didn't really touch this part.
I feel like I don't know that I've ever been somewhere I feel so much like I'm going back in time.
Yeah, you're in a time warp right now.
This is incredible.
This, you call these racks, about 200 of these racks on this side of the ship. This side of the ship's dedicated to troop berthing. Other than that, there's a head, a bathroom and a medical room. Oh, watch your head there.
I'm too tall.
I forgot to warn you because I'm short enough.
I wouldn't have made it around here back
Yeah.
in the day.
And you're here on a mild day, but you come here in July or August, you'd be pitted out by now. This big steel ship.
And what does pitted out mean?
Hot as heck and sweating.
Oh, gotcha, pitted out.
I forgot you're from northern Indiana.
Yeah. That's right.
It's very humid down here.
Yeah.
It's the tropics in Evansville. We're further south than Louisville. A lot of people don't know that.
That makes sense. I was looking at a map and I thought I was going north.
Yeah, latitude we're lower.
That's right.
And
yeah.
so yeah, troop berthing. That's why I love this side of the ship. It's basically untouched by the Greeks, and other side's more livable with air conditioning, nicer bunks, 2 high, not 4 high. Back in the average age of our crew when we go up river is like 71 years old. These guys in World War II were 18, 20 years old, 25 maybe if you're an old timer, but they could stack them 4 high.
Right on.
Not us, though.
Right on top of each other.
Yeah.
Like, didn't have much space to sleep.
Troop berthing.
Not much place to sleep. Not much privacy.
That's for sure. We're going to go out and take a left. We'll be on the tank deck where your 20 Sherman tanks would be. I stopped under this elevator. We were up on top looking at this elevator a while ago. And of course, all the vehicles come through the bow door. 1 truck at a time, or 2 Jeeps at a time, gets on this elevator platform. And to the top deck it goes. These tie downs down here, you chain the tanks down to these. Those crosses pop up, chain those tanks down to the deck. Because this ship's a flat bottom ship with a slope to it. We're 9 foot down in the water in the rear, 3 foot in the front. Give you an idea of the slope of the bottom of this. And so she's pitching back and forth extremely. Everything from the Jeeps to the tanks get chained down to these suckers. Let's go up to the bow door, just start at the front. Difference between a static display and a fully operational ship. There's stuff and work going on here. I'm going to go ahead and raise this all the way up. Of course, there'd be no garage door like this back in the day. But you see the bow doors as you're approaching the beach. Those bow doors are open horizontally. That ramp's going down. We got this garage door here to keep the drunken boaters out of here at night. But This is the original ramp that was down at Omaha Beach on D+1. LSTs didn't hit the beach till June 7th. This vessel had been off Omaha Beach on June 7th, about 200 yards off. You didn't go up on the beach because chances of thousands of mines and obstacles. So ducks, DUKW duck, and those kind of vehicles be taking ammunition up to the beach and from here. But General Patton's tanks drove across this ramp at Sicily. And some of the folks in the tour, when we talk about Omaha Beach and D-Day, some of them, don't know that much about, And I said, go home tonight and watch the first 40 minutes of Saving Private Ryan. That's Omaha Beach, the Veerville area, the worst place you could be on D-Day. This ship was about 3.5 miles down the beach the next day at Omaha Beach. So a lot of history in here. I tell folks, if these walls could talk, she'd probably be telling you the last thing some young man saw in his life could have been inside this ramp. Getting off the beach is not so tough. You just run this baby up to the beach, still can't go any further. Getting off the beach is a little more problematic. You winch yourself off. There's a big winch with 900 foot of cable, wire rope actually, a 3,000 pound anchor on the end of that. So you lower that anchor into the sea, 400, 500 foot before you hit the beach. You're free spooling the cable because when you're ready to leave the beach, that electric winch and your engine's in reverse is what's going to pull you off the beach. As that's happening, your ramp closes, your doors, your bow doors close. They're not watertight. There's a pool of water between this ramp and those doors. And you go back to England and get another load after. And to that point, this ship made 22 round trips from England to Normandy over 10 months, starting in the original Armada, June 6th. So close to 200 LSTs going back and forth across the English Channel over those months, resupplying the troops. Just one big conveyor belt of stuff from England. Because bigger ships, like Liberty ships and Victory ships, could not go into France until we brought 2 Mulberry Harbors over, and then eventually took Cherbourg back. And of course, the British had scuttled their ships and made that port unusable, because that's what you do when you're going to lose a port, getting your butts kicked. You make that stuff unusable. So in the meantime, we brought 2 Mulberry Harbors across 3 weeks after D-Day, and artificial harbors. One of them blew away within a week and a half at Omaha Beach. The other's still there partially at Arromanch. So that's all what goes into this big project called Operation Overlord. The naval part of it, the amphibious part, is Operation Neptune. All the Navy ships, 7,000 Navy ships. This is the only LST that was at Normandy that's still sailing. Wow. We're 328 feet long, if I didn't say that, so we're more than a football field. 50 feet across. I already said we're 1,700 tons empty. A little over 4,000 tons fully loaded. So we're going to start at the bow and work our way to the stern. By the time you get there, you will have walked over a football field. All right, we're going to show you some battle damage. 20 millimeter cannon shell come through the deck. This is spring or summer of '43 in North Africa. You just saw a 20 millimeter gun on the top deck a while ago. Yep. That's what come through that deck. A German version of a 20 millimeter. That went through 3/8 inch steel. And you're going to see a hole twice that big in a little bit where 30 millimeter shell come through the deck. So the old gal's got some holes in her. These compartments on the side, electrician shop. A lot of use today in here because a lot of people working, living on the ship this week, but not a lot's changed in here, just some light fixtures over 82 years.
It also looks like a little back in time.
Yeah. These working compartments on the side of the ships. Next door up will be the machine shop. Actually, usually on the tour, we stop here and tell people how 70% of the LSTs were made in inland shipyards. You're from Indiana. Indiana made like 290 ships for World War II. Jeffersonville and Evansville. Yeah, these things were made inland shipyards because they could go in 12 feet of water. There's no city in the country that made more per capita for the war effort than Evansville, Indiana.
Wow.
We made the most LSTs. There's a shot of the shipyard. There's a dozen LSTs ready to go over to England. And we made 6,200, I think it is, P-47 Thunderbolts. 6,242 of those planes. 96% of the 45 caliber ammunition used in World War II was made in Evansville, Indiana. Chrysler Ordnance
There was a lot of women here.
Yeah.
Helping us out.
If you see that picture, they're all women, and mostly women. They used to make Plymouth cars in Evansville. Well, that got turned into an ammo factory. So virtually all the Tommy gun ammo and 45 pistol ammo in World War II came from right here in Evansville. 96% of it, 3.6 billion rounds. Over there's the machine shop. It looks like, I tell folks on the tour, it looks like Grandpa's garage, but that's where you fix stuff. Cut out of the Sherman tank over there. This ship's built to carry 20 of those. That's not quite as big as a Sherman. That's 85% the length of a Sherman. By the end of the war, the Allies had built 80-some thousand tanks. You just had that way to get them on the beach without the use of port facilities. LST was that answer. There's a picture of our ship fully loaded. There's at top deck. That's the second trip into Normandy, June 12th. That's what an LST looks like. You call, we haul. This would be the first week after D-Day. The D plus 5 or 6, I guess. You see there's the beginning of the end for the Germans. We're on the beach, moving inland, and we got all this stuff from England coming in on LSTs.
So maybe we don't win that war without these ships.
That's for damn sure, yeah. That's what Churchill said. There's a front end of a Higgins boat. Everybody's seen Higgins boats in the movies. Those vessels taking platoons of 36 troops up to the beach. 20,000 of those made, plus. And they're known LCVP, landing craft vehicle personnel, also known as Higgins boats, because Andrew Jackson Higgins, it was his design that won the contract. But Eisenhower said if he had to pick one thing that won World War II, it would be the Higgins boat. Churchill said the LST. And General Patton, a lot of people have heard of him. You think it'd be the tank? No, the M1 rifle, because it's semi-automatic. You can squeeze off 8 rounds, as fast as you could pull the trigger, while the Germans still had to cock their Mausers. Hey, I want to show you the bigger hole in the overhead, 30 millimeter. This is from a German plane in North Africa. 30 millimeter cannon shell come through the deck near Tunisia. This is March of 1943. This one was documented. 6 people wounded when that came through the deck.
Just a little flesh wound?
Yeah, yeah. But it went through 3/8 inch steel flesh.
Yeah.
There's our Lego LST. That vessel's made out of Legos. The kids dig that stuff.
This is made out of Legos?
Yeah.
Oh man, I know some kids that would just...
Brickomania made that, and don't ask me how many Legos are in there, I do not know.
Who made this?
Brickomania.
Brickomania.
Yeah.
Shout out to
It says it
Brickomania.
right up there, yeah. And
Shout out to Brickomania.
I think they're all over YouTube too.
Cool. Yeah, go check out Brickomania. Props to you guys for doing something like this.
Right back, all these pictures in the background are our ship at various places in Normandy. Over here, this picture on the left's cool because there's our ship on the Omaha beach with no water under us. Tide's gone out. People aren't used to seeing ships with no water under them. An LST, that's usually you get fired if you do that with your ship. Run it aground. Here you're paid to go up on the ground. The tide's gone out. Pretty cool pictures there.
Yeah.
All these chains and puppy paws, all this hardware on the wall. It's used to chain tanks down to the deck. People say, what's a puppy's paw, Chris? There's a puppy's paw. It goes in these holes where these crosses are. And the other end goes to a chain. That's how you chain tanks down to the deck, and 4 points on each tank. Some spare 40 millimeter barrels. You melt your barrels down on full automatic where if you got 4 guys, you can grab a barrel and screw another one on. You'll see the 40 millimeter guns here in a little bit. All these panels are just stuff from down there. They've been cleaned up. These are electric panels. Stuff you'd see down in the auxiliary engine room.
Sure.
Put them up here so folks can see them.
Took a lot of personnel to keep going. Had a lot of different skill sets.
Yeah. We cut this hole in the deck so people can see down below. This is the auxiliary engine room. 3 generators down there. They're nothing but landing craft motors, Detroit diesels. So they're running off the diesel tank of the ship, cranking these generators. Everything was DC current. So 3 of them suckers make all your electricity back in the day. 2 of those ballast pumps, we got submarine technology, are down there. Because from here forward, down below, which you cannot see, is 14 huge ballast tanks. They hold 185,000 gallons of seawater or fuel. So by pumping water in and out, you elevate yourself up or down in the water. Or even up on the beach as you're unloading, you shift water to the front to weight you down so you don't get sucked back out into the channel. You can manipulate your ship up and down and just rebalance it using ballast, 2 ballast pumps. And so there's submarine technology in here too. You've already seen a 20 millimeter gun on the top deck. There'd be 12 of those, as I mentioned, on the ship. Over here is just, we show people, we got a radio room, but it's too cramped to get tours in there. So we put some shortwave radios down here. And of course, vacuum tubes, that's what powers your TVs and radios. You're too young to remember that stuff, but I'm not. 40s through the 70s.
Some old TVs laying around.
That's what's in these shortwave radios. Radar, you didn't see radar on an LST till late in the war. There was eventually radar on this, but not good for looking at aircraft, but you can see ships over the horizon with this. You eventually saw radar on this ship, but very late in the war. The radio operator, we tell the kids, you know, they see these earphones on Herbert here, and they thinking, boy, he be jamming. No, he be listening to Morse code, dots and dashes. Dot, 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 over shortwave radio.
Those were the first beats.
Yeah,
the Morse code beats.
Yeah, we tell them, come over and look at the original keypad, an 82-year-old Underwood. You know, I tell the kids, you've seen Old Navy T-shirts? That's bogus. We're Old Navy.
Yeah, that's Old Navy.
Everything here is original, including the engines. They're like almost 80 years old. One's a 41, the other's a 43. We're still using them. They're down there. 2 locomotive engines. They're 12-cylinder engines, so you got 12 of these pistons. You know, back in the day, I'm old enough to remember, you rated them by cubic inch displacement, CID. 567 cubic inches. Here's a normal piston out of a car, 350, compared to ours. These are all parts out of the engine. Cylinder sleeve, piston. Noisy, hot place to be. I'm sure it's 120 degrees down there in the war when them suckers are running, if not more.
Now, did these places, did they eat, they had like rations, or did they have like a chow hall?
We got a chow hall. It's called a galley. You're going to see that.
Oh, really? Okay.
When you go to change your oil cans are that big. Yeah, pick up a 6-pack of them suckers. We burned somewhere between 7 and 8 gallons of diesel to the mile, by the way. This Jeep was in the MASH movie that started the whole series.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
man,
read
I
that
love
sign.
MASH.
Look at that sign on the front.
All right.
Donated to us. So it's a little new for this ship. It's a Korean War vintage. It was free, so, you know, we took it.
Yeah, it's very cool.
LSTs were often hospital ships after the battle. That's what this display is about, casualty care. 229 LSTs at Normandy, 106 of those were designated hospital ships, which means you start the day with 2 surgeons on here and 10 corpsmen. So just because of the way you're constructed, amphibious vessels like ducks, DUKW duck, which is nothing but a 1942 GMC truck, would drive in and out, go up to the beach and come back with wounded, dump them off in here, and bodies. That LVTs, landing vehicle track. Vessels like that could come and go to the beach and bring wounded in here. This is what you'd be looking at in here. Stretchers, cots with wounded. This is in the Pacific, this particular shot, with wounded Marines. It'd be the same view in here like by June 8th, after D-Day. 10,000 casualties at Normandy in 1.5 days, almost 2 days. Dead and wounded on the Allied side. So you talk about a trauma center, that's a big trauma center. And we remind folks that beach is 50 miles plus long, so 7,000 vessels. It's mayhem everywhere. Those wounded are coming into these ships, and bigger ships too, but LST's primarily that hospital
So
ship.
not only did these ships help get supplies to where they needed to and soldiers, they also helped
Yeah.
mobile hospitals. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to, when we get to the wardroom where the officers ate and had their meetings, you're going to see surgical lights hanging down above their eating table, because that's a surgical table too. Every square foot's used for something.
So they ate and did surgery at the same table.
Yep.
Wow.
And if you had too much surgery to do, you didn't eat. You ate somewhere else. Over here, Herbert's there lifting one of the wounded up through the stretcher access. On the starboard side, this side of the ship, starboard and port sides, you saw over there all those racks, about 200 racks, bunks over there. It's a mirror image over here, except this one, this side, most of your crew would be sleeping up here. Nowadays, this is air conditioned with nicer bunks, only 2 high. The Greeks did that to make it more livable. Fortunately for us who sail this ship today, we got it a little better than the crew did back then. But that's used for casualties too, wounded. Greek flag on the wall. They had the ship longer than we did, from 64 to 2000, really.
Shout out to the Greeks.
Yeah. You're also carrying POWs, prisoners of war. A little later, we had to find a home for 700,000+ German POWs. And here we are unloading POWs from France, probably Normandy, into England on the 325. And some of these guys might end up in this general neighborhood at Camp Breckenridge, Kentucky, 45 miles down the road. You're from up in Indiana, Camp Atterbury, POW camp, Fort Knox. It don't matter what state you live in on the eastern U.S., you probably had POW camps there. Laundry room, you didn't have hardly any laundry facilities on an LST in World War II until very late in the war, so ignore that. We got all kinds of nice machines in there, so we got some amenities you didn't have. I also mentioned to the gals on the tour, nothing but saltwater showers for 3.5 years on here, right out of the ocean. You didn't have the desalinization units that the bigger ships had. Because once again, we're built in 3 months. There's no creature comforts on an LST. Eisenhower wanted something to get tanks on the beach. Forget about all the other creature
We're
comforts.
battling for our lives. We're trying to survive.
Exactly.
We gotta get out there and get it.
Now we're going to go up to the mess deck where you'd eat. And you're walking by the damage control locker. There's your fire department. In the Navy, you're a fireman first before you do anything else. Because for obvious reasons. You usually can't call the fire department or the police department. All right, let's scoot in here. The mess deck, not very big, not very impressive, because once again, you're on an LST. But yeah, okay. But this has been walled in over. Nowadays, there's racks, bunks back there. We got a lot of comedians on here too.
I could tell. You might be one of them, I think.
Down below, you see a walk-in freezer and refrigerator if you move over this way. And still used today as it was back then. Dry food storage be down there, the backup steering gear, stuff like that down there. You're walking by one of the heads. The head is the bathroom in the Navy. The women who are on the trips nowadays are in this area. That's why all the pretty curtains and stuff. I didn't want you to think it's like that on all the heads. Now we're going up to the galley where food's prepared. Usually there's nothing going on here during the year, but it's a work week, so they're cooking for the crew.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Be a quiz at the end.
That's Janine, our head cook here. And what's this gentleman's name?
I'm Sean Stroll from Marion, Ohio.
Sean.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Right.
This is the most critical spot of the ship, obviously.
They gotta treat us well. Trust me, they are, whatever we need to get done, they're in there.
Fantastic. Nice to meet you folks.
Slide around. You can see in from this side too. Well, usually you can. It's closed today. I'll just open that for a moment. Usually the tours are looking through here.
Hello.
Hang with the stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's putting up with me.
here's our fancy eating metalware. Nothing chintzy about us. That's what the crew would eat and drink off of. You'll see what the officers ate off of here in a little bit. China. The post office. What happened to my picture of Betty Grable? It's missing right now. But anyway, yeah, they're doing some construction there. But post office, there's your mailbox right there.
So how would they get mail then? Like, what was the system like?
Every 3 or 4 weeks, a ship might come by and throw a few bags on there.
Really?
Or if you anchor somewhere, it'll be waiting for you there. Logistics are impressive. They kind of know where, if your name's John Smith, they know where to send mom's letter to you. Back before you had computers. D-Day, everything's done without computers.
That's just
mind-boggling.
That's kind of interesting to me that, the military made sure that even if you were deployed and out, that they try to get those letters.
It might take a month or two if you're out at sea, but it will find you or it'll be waiting for you when you get in
Had to
port.
make sure they had something to fight for.
Yeah, a lot of trackability.
Uh-huh.
We're going to head back outside.
Hey, we got some barges going down the river today.
Yep. Yeah, here on the Ohio River. That's Kentucky over there, that peninsula.
Yeah.
Actually, I could throw a rock and it'd splash in Kentucky from here. We're almost in Kentucky right now. The river really belongs to Kentucky. But on the other side of that, it's peninsula. This is like the steepest turn in the Ohio River. Around the other side is Evansville over there on the other side of them. The shipyard is right over, you see the tall corn elevator, that big mass of concrete. That's about the middle of the shipyard. There's not much over there. There's one memorial there, one little thing built there. We're coming to the rear of the ship, the fantail. When we were at the front of the ship, we were talking about how we get off the beach, which is critical. This big winch here, the stern winch, electric winch, 900 foot of wire rope on here, 1.5 inch thick. And on the end of this cable, there's a 3,000 pound anchor. Now, if you want to go, you can actually see the anchor hanging off the back. If you bend over that rail a little bit, show the folks what the anchor is that pulls you off the beach. So you lower that into the sea, 450 feet out. You're free spooling the cable. Because this anchor is what's going to pull you off the beach. That and your engine's in reverse. This cable serves a second purpose. It's there to keep you perpendicular, keep your nose straight in on the beach. You don't want to get sideways on the beach, then you got all kinds of issues. The stern winch. Now we're going to go up and check out the 40 millimeters that are uncovered for the winter. 40 millimeter anti-aircraft guns. Here's the rounds that it shoots.
Wow.
The 40 millimeter Bofors, Swedish Bofors. 2 rounds per second out the barrel, full automatic, 120 rounds a minute. Usually 4-round clips. 5 guys to be on this gun. It's a single 40. 2 guys sitting in these tractor seats. 1 guy's cranking, the handle's missing on here, but he'd be cranking the handles, the elevation, the barrel's up and down. The guy on the other side be cranking it back and forth, the azimuth. And 2 guys jamming these 4-round clips down the top where that steel cover is. Every 4th round's a tracer. So you can shoot up 12,000 foot with this sucker. Usually you're shooting, 1 or 2,000 foot. That gun back there's got 2 barrels on it. It's a dual 40. 8 guys on that gun. The dual 40s.
Wow.
This one's got propane hooked up to it. So we've actually fired this gun in the forward gun.
You fire this still?
Yeah, we'll be doing it on Saturday.
This Saturday?
Yeah, when we invade Evansville on Shriners Fest.
Where do you fire it to?
We just go up and down. The riverfront. Have you been up there?
Yeah.
They're having a Shriners Fest up there, festival. So we just go up and back, shooting at people with this. There's propane powered. Obviously, it's still got some plastic covers on it, so the barrels aren't that big, but they're that big. Bob's getting our guns ready for Saturday here, or whatever the heck he's doing. Bob, he's our electronics technician. Sure, he takes care of the ham radios and everything that we break electronic, he has to fix. So.
You ever break something on purpose just so he has something to do?
Well, yeah, it's job security. He's a Vietnam vet on the LST, and he was on the police department too. And
thank you for your service, sir.
these lockers you see like this around here and there, pyrotechnic lockers, ammunition being here. There's bigger magazines with ammo, but this is have some ammo up here close to the gun kind of thing. On this davit here would hang a Higgins boat. Before the month is over, it'll be back out here. It's in the garage for the winter. You'll see our other Higgins boat laying on a barge, covered up in a few minutes. But yeah, the Higgins boat, which carries that platoon of 36 troops up to the beach, this davit would lower it to the sea. The crew would climb down those cargo nets or fall down those cargo nets with 70 to 110 pounds of stuff on their back and take that trip into the beach when you don't want to take your vessels up to the beach because you'd be a big target. These life rafts are original World War II. They're made out of cork. Obviously some gray paint on them. And we're going to slide into the wheelhouse where you used to pilot the ship from. We don't do that anymore. We got a lot better method of doing it with a joystick nowadays. Here, come in here, you're going to see some 100-year-old technology. Of course, the wheelhouse, as I mentioned, we don't pilot from here anymore. We do it from the top of the ship. Steering was never very good on an LST. There's backup steering gear in the bottom of the ship in the rear. But this is where you'd be piloting the ship from at the helm. 2 guys, if not 3 guys in here at any given time. Your gyro repeater, there's a gyro unit. Your gyro compass is more accurate than your magnetic compass, but it's electric, it can fail you. So over there you see a old school compass made by Lionel Trains in 1943. It says it right on the rim.
The ghost of Christmas past.
But, quit smoking that stuff. But they're up in the con. But this is how you talk to the skipper. You know,
Yeah.
We still talk through that. They're up there
Really?
getting the ship ready for Saturday.
Is that what the noise just came through when
Yeah,
we were talking?
somebody's 2 stories up talking to me. They heard me talking down here,
Is that right?
telling a bunch of lies. You've seen these on the Titanic, 4 of those, the engine room telegraph. You're not controlling the engines, you're just signaling the engine rooms. You're connected via chains. So you're ringing a bell down there. They got a display which arrow comes over and points to the speed that you want. That bigger arrow than this. Nowadays, that's how you did it back in
So
the
you're
day.
indicating what you want
Yes.
below, and then they're.
You're hoping somebody's seeing that, yeah. Nowadays, we control the engines from right here. So we took that chance for failure out of the equation. We just control them right here, or they're piloting the ship from up there, communicating through this voice tube. So that part of it, we're still doing like old school, except there's nobody here piloting the ship with this
Who pilots
wheel.
the ship now?
It's actually, he's here today.
Really?
It's riverboat pilots. I mean, the guy's pushing the barges up and down. Yeah, I'll introduce you to him.
Oh,
I just saw him out there.
That's fascinating.
He's from Ohio.
That's got to be a thrill.
We got to have two of them because, you know, you're not from here, but from here to Louisville in a car is not even 2 hours. It's like 21 hours in an LST.
Wow.
So you got two pilots on here at all times. And we go as far as Pittsburgh and Mississippi.
Wow.
So
I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna find a way to get on this one day.
Yeah, you get on and do your volunteer time, and
Yeah.
next year you make the trip.
Yeah. 80 hours you said, I'm in.
Yeah.
80 hours.
And you can do that 40 hours in 1 week, like this week, these guys.
Just dedicate a week and just stay here.
Bob lives here like I do, so we're here all the time. Your battle phone system, that's how you communicate throughout the ship. It doesn't even use electricity, voice power. Once again, redundancy. So you're not, in wartime, you design stuff around worst case scenario. All electricity goes out, guess what? We can still communicate. So way up there is where they pilot the ship from nowadays, where that glassed-in conning station is. Now there'd be nothing up there, there'd be no glass up there in World War II. There's no reason to be up there except your eyeballs, your officer of the deck or whatever. But nowadays, they pilot it with like a joystick. Life's a lot better. Now they got heat and air in there. None of that back in the day. It's just wide open. You didn't have that cool, $25,000 radar there either back in the day. This picture here is pretty unique. Here's our ship going into Sicily with General Patton's 7th Army in July or August of '43. And this picture was in Life magazine during the war.
I think I've seen it before.
Okay. That ship out in front of us, the USS Boise, an American cruiser, it's shelling the beach. So you see smoke coming from its 6-inch guns. You're out there for days, shelling the beach, just like in the Pacific. You can be out there for weeks even. And eventually infantry's got to go in. But yeah, that's that deck down there back in '43 with General Patton's 7th Army on the ship. You're looking down on one of our Higgins boats. It'll be uncovered in the next week or so. And these are fully operational. They'll be out running around. But when we head to Iowa, it'll be hanging in this davit. They're made to carry a platoon of 36 troops up to the beach. And our 2 Higgins boats were in the movie Flags of Our Fathers. Really? They leased them, took them to Iceland to film that movie about Iwo Jima. Because it's hard to find Higgins boats. They were all made out of wood in World War II, except for the front ramp still. Now, our 2 vessels are fiberglass because they transitioned to fiberglass in 1949. We're going down through officers' country. You'd have about 10 or 12 officers in this crew of 100, 110 crew on an LST, depending on what time in the war you're at. You're going to see where the officers live, officers' country.
Okay, thank you.
And we got air conditioning nowadays, which you would not have back in the day.
Should I shut this door?
Yeah, go ahead there. It's a marginal day, but I guess they got the air conditioning on.
Wow, it feels so much nicer in here.
Yeah,
This is where people would prefer to work then.
Scott here likes it. He likes it at 55 degrees. So there's the skipper of our ship right there.
I'm doing a video. Is that okay, sir?
Go ahead and talk to him while he's here.
All right, how's it going?
He asked who pilots his ship. I said, well, he's on here today.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Bob Kubota.
Bob Kubota.
And,
how's it going? Yeah.
Fire or gun back there?
Do what?
You want to fire or gun?
It won't work. We can fire a gun for him.
Really?
Yeah.
Fire one?
He says they're ready.
No way.
And,
That one's ready, I fired it.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Oh my God.
But right now, we'll walk out and get done with this, and we'll go back here. But the wardroom where officers ate and had their meetings, obviously we got some newer furniture too, because it was the pits when it come back from Greece.
Well, this is the place to hang out at. It's nice and cold.
Yeah, they got it like 62 degrees in there. This table, like I told you earlier, you'll see the surgical lights hanging down above the table here. So that doubles as a surgical table. That's stuff.
So dining table and surgical table.
Yeah, every square foot's used on an LST for something. Over there on the wall, you see the china that the officers ate off of. You saw that tinware. You saw what the crew ate off of a while ago. There's what the officers eat off of. China.
High class.
Over there on the wall, there's our ship coming back from Greece in 2001. Here's a before picture. What you see today is about $5 million later. So look at the rust and corrosion on here. It looks like Scott's Subaru. So yeah, the wardroom. Officer shower's right here.
Nice to meet you guys.
There's where the officer shower. Still used today as it was 82 years ago. Like I say, nothing fancy. Let me see if Jerry's not in the stateroom. I'll let you look in the stateroom here. Hey, come on in. See where the officer stateroom, bedroom. Our chief engineer, this is his office. That's why stuff's everywhere. There's your bunk. You have a desk like this, a locker, and a sink. So yeah, officers sleep in here, 1, 2, or 3, and this one just has one bunk, because this would be the chief engineer, the executive officer, something like that.
Space, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. And
it's rare on a boat like this one.
yeah,
Probably only a couple people have their own full space like that.
yeah. Well, about 10 of them. Yeah, we're getting ready to slide out that way. Yeah, we'll be right there.
No hurry. Take your time.
Wardroom, pantry. The officers' food would be brought up in this area by a steward. Their food would be taken off those steel trays, put on those china plates up in the racks, served through that little window. Let me turn this aircon down a little bit. Last thing you're going to see on the left is the captain's cabin.
Hi, sir.
You check in here. Make sure. A few women on the ship these days.
Yeah.
There's the captain's cabin.
Oh, wow. Can I step in here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
The captain's got his stuff here today, so it's a little messy, but
Thank you.
everybody's moving in.
I never thought I'd see anything like this. Is it now when you guys do the tours? Do you show people this part too?
They don't go in there. They stop here where this rope is, yeah. Kind of walk by it. All right, Skipper's going to shoot the gun for us here, he says. The guns were going to be working for Saturday anyway, so evidently they got one working already. He's going to shoot one through the plastic there, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it real loud?
It is when there's no cover on them. Yeah. You might want to stand back. That's up to you.
Hop up here.
Me?
Yeah.
Have you shot this already?
No, it's not. You guys are gonna be kidding me.
No, go ahead. It's just a matter of hitting a button.
Well,
Have you done that this week? I mean,
huh?
have you shot this week, today?
Started
Or?
this morning.
Okay.
I need you to just press this button, hold it till it shoots, and then let go.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yep.
Watch your ears.
Fire and roll.
Go ahead, do it again.
Huh?
Do it again.
Fire the hole.
What do you think?
I can't believe I just did that.
There you go.
Thank you guys.
All kinds of crazy stuff goes on this ship. Yeah.
Too bad.
This gun and the forward gun we shoot.
I think I'll be okay with my ears. But that was incredible.
All righty. Thank you there, Bob.
Thank you guys.
It's all right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That's already fired and done, huh? You're done shooting, huh?
Kubota's back there if you want to play with him there.
How's it going?
All righty. We better get, these guys are nuts. We better get away from them.
Yeah, I think so. What kind of gun was that?
40 millimeter.
40 millimeter.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be shooting a lot quicker than that. 120 rounds a minute.
Sure. You guys are so nice and generous to let me do that.
Yeah, I didn't know they had the guns ready today. Or what? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, they're still doing it. I stopped here at this trunk here. There's 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how you get down the engine room back in the day. You climb 25 foot of ladder straight up and down through here. But remember, you're 18, 20, 25 years old, too. Now they're going to get the police on us here in a bit.
I thought I heard a little siren going.
Yeah.
So you guys don't call the police before and you just fire off?
There you go. We gave up. They know us who the nuts are doing that.
I love it, man. We're just down here in Evansville shooting off Florida cows.
Where that big circle is, where it says LST 325. That was a heliport on why the Greeks had the ship. So there's a helicopter tied on there, you know, for God knows how many decades. There'd be nothing painted here in World War II, because, you know, the crew in World War II would tell you LST stands for large, slow target. Our last ship there.
I was kind of thinking
Because
it's a low
8 to 10 mile an hour is what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So there'd be no bullseye painted on here in World War II. You don't need that on a large, slow target. Anyway, yeah,
We're having fun now.
Yeah. So we've got radar and stuff that you wouldn't have in World War II, because you got to have that on the rivers. But any other questions there? Or?
No.
Well, you've just had a unique experience. Only LST left in the world still sailing.
I am honored. I am humbled and just grateful that you took the time to do this and give me this.
We appreciate the exposure, and in the summer and spring we're open every day but Monday. Come on down.
What if somebody watches this and they say, I want to donate to this? Where could they do that at?
lstmemorial.org.
Okay.
And they can even become a member. People say, who owns this ship? I say, well, you can. You know, you pay $25 a year, you're a member like me, and I happen to be on the board of directors too, and you're part owner of this piece of history.
Fantastic. I think it's a great way to spend $25 a year. Also, how do people get a hold of the organization if they want to volunteer?
You can do that online, fill out a form, and send it in there, or you can call the office and ask for information. And when they're down there on tours, they can physically go up there and get signed up. And next year, depending on where we're going, you know, they can go on the trip once you get 80 hours volunteer time in.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Have an experience like that's well worth that. Not only do you get to help be a part of preserving history, but then you get a unique experience.
Yeah, it's
a win-win.
Yeah, there's very few people in the world that are going to have this experience, because we're the last one left.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I can't thank you enough.
All right. Well, thank you.
I appreciate everything. I really do. And,
look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I do too. Okay. Well, we're signing off for now. We're with Chris Donahue. He's been giving us a tour of this place, and I hope you guys have liked this video. And if so, look at the descriptions. I'll leave links to the organization, how to get in contact with volunteer and donations.
Very good. All right.
So we just got done with a wonderful tour of the US 325, and the cops are here. I think it's because I fired off the 40 cal. So they're literally, I think they're just making sure that that's what it was. They're giving us a wave, so I think we're good. So we got the cops calling us on here in Evansville, down here at the USS LST 325 Center. I just can't believe that I had that experience. I feel like a kid. I'm like just so humbled, and so that's what we're doing, right? We're uncovering lost stories, and it just goes to show how kind people are and how much they will open the doors. I'm not a big time YouTuber. They knew that. They just thought it was nice that somebody was interested and wanting to tell a story, and so that's what we did. If you're watching this video, maybe you've heard of the USS LST, maybe you haven't. Drop a comment. Tell me something that you might know about it. If it's your first time learning about it, drop a comment and tell us that. Like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories. If you have an idea of a story or something you want me to uncover, a town, an idea, even an attraction of some sort, something cool, put that in the comments. Reach out to me. I'm trying to be as curious as I can and just keep this travel curiosity going. We've had a great 5-day trip down to Kentucky and now in Indiana, touching base, diving into a little bit of Rosine and bluegrass country, and Bourbon there in Bardstown, and Newburgh, Rivertown, and now we're up in Evansville shooting off 40 cals on boats. So just an amazing time. I'm glad I just decided to get my camera and just go be curious. So that's what this is about. So I appreciate you guys tuning into this. I really do. You guys have a great day.